You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the Meta. The Meta controls everything. The Meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show. You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned.
I think we're live. Yes, I think it's working. I think I got it working. Oh God.
I think I haven't even sent a ping yet. Okay, so now we actually have
therefore
sent a
I
ping.
am.
As people know, we've been having some really interesting adventures here, getting things up and running, because
what
we
boat
have.
goes for the Meta Show.
Yes, well, we have a really awesome guest here today, and I
Yeah.
see actually on Skype, like my webcam is a little weird.
Yeah, I had to adjust it like 3 or 4 times, but I got it. We're good
There
now.
you go. Okay.
Yeah.
We're live, we're functional. People are actually going to find out that we're live and functional. That's good, and we can almost see the caps blowing up. You're going to need to move your.
Oh
camera
yeah,
up
yeah.
a
I'm
little
gonna
bit,
move
so-
it. Don't worry. I just.
All right. So the reason why we are a little bit discombobulated today, at least at the start, is we've been trying to solve all the technical challenges of getting our international guest for this week online from. Well, we'll bring you in later, but for now, Aries Bar, where exactly are you Skyping in from?
Hello.
This is where you use.
Sorry, what was that?
Where are you Skyping in from?
I'm from China mainland,
Gotcha.
in Nanjing.
In Nanjing. So yeah, actually getting a Skype connection working with Discord,
Yeah,
going through a VPN.
it was
God
so
only knows
fun.
what. And we have so much Eve drama to go over. So what we're going to do, guys, is as usual, you can see drama in the background right now with the Capital training op on CC. Pretty explosions. So we're going to go over top stories. We're going to be talking about a lot of Eve drama today. We're going to get Aries Bar a chance to talk about stuff that's going on. Some news actually from the Chinese server over in Serenity.
Yes.
Lots of Titans blowing up there. He's going to be talking about that. And then we're going to let him go and go to sleep. So let's just go through the normal opening monologue.
Yep.
So
First thing
Did
first,
we-
as always, we gotta do our station identification video. Which,
okay.
Where did it go?
we haven't done that yet. Okay, so we've got
There it is!
I thought we were going to start doing that.
Yeah, well, we do it right now, right before we get into the little monologue bit. Yeah, there's a lot of drama today. So there's
All the drama. So Stormy05 just subscribed to Twitch Prime. I appreciate that. And yeah, we have
our fancy
bees.
intro.
This is excellent.
Oh, we have bees.
Okay.
Yes, we have bees.
We don't have the bees yet. I think this
Oh,
is
it's
probably from,
Buzzbee,
your
yeah.
bees. But that is a
Still
pretty
fancy.
awesome thing. Vote the block commissar. Of course, we've been doing a lot of commissaring. Yesterday on my stream, I got to shoot both Gursky Carr and Rick Stravix live
Really?
on my Faction Warfare stream.
Dude,
And then I got to murder dude solo. Faction Warfare PvP. The boys helped me out. They said
That was hilarious.
You know, hey, use a rocket garmer, and it was pretty awesome until we ran into a worm. But he had me honor pointed, so it didn't count.
Yeah.
Xandril just subscribed with Twitch Prime for 6 months. So as usual, guys.
Yeah, we had
I've just
Stormy over
described-
5.
I've just realized that we actually have, because I've been using Twitch for years, but never noticed that there's a fucking emote button. You can literally just press the emote button in the top right, spam
Yep,
emotes,
yep.
and since I'm old and boring.
So nice.
All right,
it's
so-
fancy. All right,
so-
but news for today. So all the things that we're gonna go over today.
We're gonna bring in Aries Bar. We've got a patch on Tuesday.
Right.
We're gonna be talking about the Grath and Rick Stravix slap fight.
Oh,
We're going to be talking about some stuff involving CO2 and how much they suck because they're traitors. We're going to be talking about this Shadow Cartel drama with
Yep.
Paquito and Yasmin joining NC Dot. We're going to be talking about PL wormhole Taloses, which have been popping out of holes all over Eve, blowing things up. And lots of action GE TAC 8. Brave finally got a Forza online.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. That's the interesting thing too, because it took a long time to get that online, which is kind of hilarious.
Okay, so let's see. We're going to bring Aries Bar in right after our top story, so our
Yep.
man in Nanjing can actually get some sleep. But right now, Boat, why don't you take us away? What is...
Yeah, so
again, we get
first,
shout-outs, I guess.
graphic!
We got, let's see, Xandril. We already covered Xandril and Stormio. So as usual, guys, we try to at the end of the segments. That's when we give shout-outs for resubs, and we really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. So now,
our top story today is all about CCP games, and it comes from Tuesday's patch. As always, we bring you the news, and we talk about, last week we talked about their summer patch being leaked. We haven't heard anything else this week about it. I've been combing like crazy for that. But the patch is coming Tuesday. The official release for the patch is coming Tuesday. That's the Rorqual nerf. Big Rorqual nerf, 2 steps. They're nerfing the way Rorquals do their, whatever you want to call it, like the little thing that shoots the beam and makes them invulnerable. That's getting nerfed. You have to target an asteroid belt, which means you have to be in siege, because if you get jammed and you're not in siege and you hit that button, it won't work. So you got to make sure you got them asteroids locked. And then they're also nerfing how good Rorquals are as far as mining. So they're nerfing it for the second time. They thought the first bat was enough, but they brought a second bat down on it. Yeah. Also, they're introducing a new scanning system. I personally like it. It's really good. I don't know if you've used scanning much in EVE, but yeah, it's pretty amazing. So the new scanning system's coming out, and they're adding some new improvements to that. And then, of course, repair and citadels. You can actually
we have
share ships and all that, too.
Got a couple things here in chat here. So first of all, you guys are absolutely right. Boat needs to let me know when we're playing the intro segment, so I know when to shut up. Because like since I'm being Skyped in and I'm not running the stream myself, I actually
watch
don't
this,
know
watch this. I'm gonna fix it right now. Watch this. Ready?
Uh-oh.
All right, now look at Skype, and now you'll see live when it happens.
Ah,
there we go.
This is very
Problem solved.
complicated here.
No, it's
so now I actually have. That's actually a really good idea now. So now I can see the OBS dashboard as things are happening real time. So excellent. Thank you, Boat.
So anything, and even like if we get to do a sub, you'll see it as it pops up here instead of 30 seconds delayed. That kind of thing too. So yes, solving problems. We talked about it last week, and I forgot to click the button.
Norwegian Relic helping me out with that, because I don't want to talk over the awesome.
No, yeah, we do have a bunch. I always think I shut you up, but sometimes I forget. So, but yeah, so big patch day. All the patch notes are officially released a couple days ago. That's coming Tuesday, so make sure you set a long skill just in case. Oh wait, they fixed that. You don't have to set a long skill anymore. Do you remember that? Back in the day,
all the old school rules is one always has to set a long skill of training. So that's going to be interesting. I'm curious about the scanning system. I mean, one of the things that I found on my stream yesterday was that I actually really enjoyed the shit out of doing some little frigate PvP in faction warfare. No matter how long you play EVE, it never gets old as far as the adrenaline rush that comes from solo PvP, which is just neat to see. And also, I'm loving all the Black Eagles in chat. We really want to get in a habit, especially now that I have found the emote button, and I love to spam these things now, because it's like a little fo, but with eagles, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Whenever anybody subs or resubs to the channel, welcome them to their new level of subscriber badge by throwing some Black Eagles in chat. So yeah, I mean, the Rorqual nerf has probably been a long time coming. I don't really know how much of an impact it's going to make. Certainly the change to Panic is going to mean no more jump Hictors, which is something that Boat has been talking about for quite some time now.
It's much needed. And it also nerfs something that wasn't abused. It got posted to Reddit yesterday. It took people a month to figure this out. But there was an abuse, a mechanic you could abuse where you jumped in the Rorqual by itself, just one Rorqual, and then like 50 endurances with all points fit, and those endurances become immune. And they can still do things like web, scram, move around. So nobody abused that yet, but yeah, so pretty cool
Famous
stuff.
Last words. The other part of this is that, you know, we are seeing lots of changes to EVE, and one of the things that is cute, I guess, is there is this BAFTA, that's the British Association of Fine Arts or something or other. I actually don't really know what the acronym stands for. It's basically a British award ceremony for games. There's BAFTAs for the games. It's like the British version of the Oscars. So there's BAFTA Game Awards, and it has been nominated, not won, but it's been nominated in the Evolving Game category. And I'm not really sure how much we give a fuck about this, but it's cute.
Well, it's interesting because the people that are in the games around them, they actually have a chance to win, right? Because it's games like Elite Dangerous and Destiny, which I don't think anyone really even fully plays much, and then Hitman and Rocket League. Like, none of those games are like what you would expect to be an MMO.
To count as an evolving game.
And the only one you could think of maybe is Final Fantasy, but every time they want to make a new Final Fantasy, they just put another number on it. So EVE Online looks like the only category here, one in the category that could win, and that'd be pretty cool. Usually everyone mocks little award things, but when your game company wins an award for something like that, that can be a pretty big deal. So I thought it'd be
That's good.
cool.
I mean, getting high-profile attention is always good. And speaking of high-profile attention, this is a very subtle segue here. Oh my God! Did we just? This is a wonderful link here.
Oh, it just happened
Dear
too.
friend McBain AS brings us the good word that another Care for Kids fake charity bullshit. Nix.
Ooh.
I'm sure that was a cancer child there in Cobalt Edge,
And he
ratting in a Nix.
That looks
has
like
died in flames. Looks like Wingspan, or
Wingspan
just a
or-
bunch of random people.
it's either
and
Wingspan or
friends.
the Bombers Bar. Looks like one of the
Bombers
two.
Bar. Excellent, doing some jobs.
Yes.
Doing some jobs.
Thank you for that link. Oh, so good.
So the segue that I was going to go to that was like super subtle there,
Yeah.
which was not super subtle at all, was talking about big name information. This was less about me because I did one of these a couple years ago for NPR also, but the New
Right.
Yorker did
Oh,
a
yeah.
radio segment about the disbanding of Band of Brothers. So the New Yorker in the United States is pretty much the apex of literature and writing snobbery in a good way in the U.S. And so it's kind of like being in the, Eve was highlighted in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and so the New Yorker has a radio session now, and Simon Parkin, who's written about games for the New Yorker before, has now done a thing about the disbanding Bob, and they actually dug up Hargoth. They got a chance to actually find John Bushi, as turns out what his name is, and got him on the air on New Yorker radio, and we did a whole sort of thing. They did. My father sort of was like, well, it seems like they're sort of casting you as Space Trump because they framed it. They framed it as like a populist uprising against established elites, which is what it was.
Exactly.
So they sort of hinted that we were, literally. And it's funny because of the Burn Jita gimmick for the kids, which we did just a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
We, of course, had the Deplorabees, and so here we have the Deplorabees, and now the New Yorker radio is talking about that.
When I was doing my show either this week or last week, it got brought up. I think it was this week, and someone even said that like it's an NPR radio station. It's designed for like people listen to the podcast or the radio station in general from the New Yorker if they want to like talk about Trump and good things with Trump. So I just thought that was interesting that like the way that they framed it was like you're the Trump guy of Eve. You're making Eve great again.
That's well, we're trying to make INN great again. It's pretty good.
Yes.
So, Roland says that I think you need to get a spray tan. I didn't change
More
the white
orange.
balance on my webcam today. That's what's up. I'm still barely
No,
recovering. from
he's
partying
making
with
the joke
weeks
about
ago.
Trump, the spray tan.
Oh,
You should get a
I thought
spray
it was a
tan.
vampire joke.
No,
I
no.
don't- okay.
He was talking about you're not orange
also,
enough.
we're gonna bring in Aries Bar here in a
Yes.
moment, but before we do, I'm gonna give some shout outs here. Let's see, we got Thing on a Spring for 22 months in a row. Thanks, dude. I appreciate the support, as
Yes.
well as Devilface 101 for 14 months. That's pretty badass.
And
2 more
Eric
months
Asimov.
for Thing in a Spring, and you'll get an even fancier subscriber badge, care of our creative department. And of course, Eric Asbach for 14 months in a row, saying make Delve great again. Time out of works. Zach
Delve is
and
great.
OO
I
for
love
Twitch Prime. If you guys have lapsed with your Twitch Prime subs, of course, you actually have to mash the button
Press
every
the
month
button.
because they don't
Yep.
auto-renew.
So yeah,
Hell yeah. All
we
right,
move
let's, bring in Aries
into
Bar. Let's do
this
the
button.
international thing.
See, you get to see it live. Isn't that cool?
Excellent.
All right.
So now, actually,
Damian
I could see
Dixon
that I could
just
see it
subbed.
live because even when Boat was like, "Hey, you can see it live," I kept my mouth shut because now I can actually see live on his OBS studio how things are going down.
Yeah,
that's
so thanks,
excellent.
Damian Dixon, for new Twitch Prime as that little intro was played. So Aries Bar is here today, and he is from the People's Liberation Army, which are the Chinese corporation in Goonfleet. As always with this segment, we're trying to bring you different aspects of the Imperium from around the world. Last week we did an impromptu German segment with Killer B, and so this week we have China. Yes! All hail.
So,
Hey guys.
Aries Bar, why don't you?
Hello.
We're really glad to have you. Now, first of all, our man here from PLA. PLA is a massive corporation within Goonswarm that used to be an FCON and that has almost 1,000 characters in it. It's a
Right.
mega corporation of Chinese players in EVE. And we really appreciate Aries Bar coming today because he had to stay up until almost 5 in the morning to be able to make this segment. So let's give him some love in chat. And while we're giving him some love, I'm just going to ask you some basic questions. Can you just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us a little bit about how you found PLA and Goonswarm?
So I've been playing Eve since 2006. both on Serenity and Tranquility. Serenity becomes so boring, so I joined being more active in Tranquility. And the CEO, didn't really know PI, but the CEO approached me because I was like kind, famous FC on Serenity. So yeah, I tried to join while they're in FCON and work out well. So when I come back to play EVE, I went back to PLA, and apparently worked pretty well.
That's awesome.
So what is it about Serenity? Like when you say that Serenity is boring, we're going to be talking about some news on the Serenity server in a moment. But what is it about Serenity that is different from Tranquility? That's a question that Tranquility players often have. What's it like over there, and why was it boring? Why are you here instead?
I think because it's China serve, so basically it's all Chinese playing that game. But EVE is designed based on a war game because how the soft war works. When we're trying to attack, we always attacking a prime time zone, but the host can set their timer in like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m., which is incredible to hack their base and get a fight out there. And another thing about Serenity is the corporation runs the serve. It doesn't really ban IMT, and they don't ban booting. So there's no point you going NPCing or mining anything like that unless you're booting like AFK, basically.
So you would say, like, how does RMT work in? I mean, do they still sell the ISK like through eBay and other international channels for like hard currency?
I know they don't regulate it. Like CCP doesn't regulate RMT over there.
Let's Ares.
Yeah, they do. There's a website like eBay in China, and they can just sell ISK on their website, and nobody cares really unless you get reported.
Oh, wow.
Gotcha. Now, you have a pretty interesting background because we were talking about this before the show, but you are from China, of course, but you spend a lot of time in Australia, so you have like a Chinese-Australian background.
Yeah, so I've been living in Melbourne for like 8 years, really. I went back to China last year. Yeah, I was basically sticking with AU Time Zone Corp on Tranquility before. Yeah. That's it.
I think that's badass as hell. I've never heard a Chinese-Australian accent,
Yeah, no,
English
it's so
accent
awesome.
before.
I love it.
It's actually sounds really neat. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about? I have two big questions before we get to the Serenity news because there's a big battle there that we're going to talk about. But Aresbar, could you tell us of the people who are choosing to play on Tranquility from the Chinese community? It sounds like I know that there's this division. There's people who are in PLA, who are in the Imperium and in Gunswarm, and then there's Fraternity FRT. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the divisions and factions between the Chinese player base on Tranquility?
Well, I haven't really spending time with the other group in which lives in Spence Prime. Not really, in Curse, which is Fortunity. But they have a long history there. I think comparing to PA, which is in Gunswarm, they are more like casual players. More like they probably have like OP for once a week or even once a month. But with PA in Gunswarm, they are more like actual playing this game with all other players from the world. They can play whatever time zone they like and join other OPs. But comparing to Fortunity, they can only be like doing their own fleet and speaking Chinese to each other. Basically, that's it. And it's really hard to coordinate with other allies in big fights.
How do you guys handle the language barrier? I mean, one of the things that it is a challenge with VPNs and things like that. Do you guys have set up a system of translators, or how do you accomplish integrating within an organization as large as ours?
The international connection, I think, is the biggest issue for Chinese players to play on a TQ. But that's something we need to deal with anyway. With the fleet, if we win Compact OPs, there will be Chinese players using their own comms, and there will be a translator translating them from PLA. Basically, that's pretty surprising, to be honest, when I first joined them, because I think the language thing would be a really big problem in combats.
Interesting. So, can you tell us a little bit about what's been happening on Serenity recently? There's a major battle that just took place.
I haven't really followed much on Serenity for like 2 years, but I saw the keyboard yesterday. I think it was last night or something.
Yeah.
Have you guys got the keyboard?
Yeah,
No.
I linked it. I just linked it in the chat.
Yeah, it's been
yeah.
linked to chat here.
Yeah,
people
so
can
there's
see it.
something like 100. It was 142 Titans versus 103, and the guys that had 103 lost 26, which is crazy.
Yeah. I just asked my friends what happened on that fight. It's actually, I'm not sure if you guys know the alliance called PIBC and Triple V. That's the two alliances that won the Battle of 49U TAC, which is a massive Titan supercarrier thing. That's bigger than BTEC are on TQ. So a part of the PIBC Triple V fleet went into that fight. So the other group, the smaller group, think. So the PIBC went in to help the small group. So the small group thinks PIBC, as long as PIBC is on their side, they're gonna win the fight. So they bought everything in. But later than that, but I think it's 20 minutes later, then the PIBC Triple V group actually bought in their Titan group to kill the small group of the whatever thing, sorry. So basically it's
I see,
not
okay.
100 Titan fighting 100, it's basically 200 Titan fighting 50.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So they just switched sides
Yeah.
like midway through the fight.
Yeah, the reason of that is like because Serenity doesn't have API, they have spies everywhere. So the
They don't have
information doesn't
API.
Yeah.
I think people asked for the company to apply API on Serenity, but they refuse. I think it's too much cost anyway.
That's crazy.
So they have spies everywhere, and they can't really pass on information down to their member corps. So the small groups that went in from PIBC didn't really know PIBC is actually gonna be a part of this fight and be on other side.
So it's like the CO2 thing. If you think about it, someone mentioned this in chat, it's just like CO2. That they expected PIBC to help them, brought in all their fancy toys, and then they just switched sides and diverted them all. That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow. That is so you mentioned the B-R of Serenity. Were you there for that? Because I watched it happen
Yeah.
live, like the live stream of it.
I was FCing a Dormy fleet in the fight. It's pretty boring. I FC for like 8 hours straight and then passed out.
Yeah, so Mittens you might not remember this, but
I remember it's the Battle of 49 TAC.
yeah, it was
right
like 8
after-
days after, yeah.
Right after BR5, the Serenity guys got together and had an even bigger Titan fight. than
Yeah,
we
so
had.
they had two
Yeah.
separate fights that happened, and like the Domby fleet was still the Sentry Dombies we used to have. That was still the meta then because they were a patch behind us. So that's
Well, if Ares,
the
if you were
fleets,
one
yeah.
of the people who
Tell us
was
about it.
FCing there, why don't
That's
you
so awesome.
tell us about that fight?
I think the 49U TAC, I think both sides were like talking to their members, we're going to have a final fight, we're going to put in everything. But nobody actually think it's going to happen. I think it's a IHOP timer for 49U, which is like 8 a.m. Melbourne time, which is like 6 maybe in China.
Yeah.
Sorry, just one sec.
No problem.
So, one thing I remember from that, and you could probably tell us, is that, like, which I guess with Serenity, it's really hard for people to alarm clock because they tend to live with families and stuff. And this just happened to be the one time out of like years where everybody showed up, and nobody believed that everyone would show up, but everyone did.
Yeah, you just have to do it. I think the downtime on Serenity is like 10, if I remember right.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was 10. So the fight suddenly just started, kick off at like 8 a.m. And then everybody is like, they literally just need to phone call people to wake up, get up, and join the fight. The fight didn't go either way. It's like pretty even at the start. And sorry, been drinking too much beer. But it's really tipped the balance because one of the group, the one that lost the fight, they have all their super caps already in 49U on the gate. I think it's 4-0, which is regional gate, locked off. So all their caps logging warp to the R-Hub, which is a battlefield, got caught in bubble by PIBC, and PIBC all their super caps signed in instead. So all PIBC super caps were like together, but the other group was separated, which tipped the fight, I think.
So I've got a couple questions here from chat about this, and I don't want to lose them. So first question is JITA the main trade hub on the Chinese server? And if not, what is?
Yeah, it is JITA.
So it's also JITA. That's really interesting. Do you, like, was it just because of the geography? Do you have any idea why? Is that?
I don't know, I think things Serenity opened up after Tranquility, so they assume JITA.
People just assume that JITA.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think so.
How hard is it to, I mean, there are so many, one of the things that's fascinating to me about the international communities in EVE, which is why we keep doing this segment, is that I think they are in many ways, the people who speak English as their first language have a privilege where we just sort of assume that if people aren't speaking English, they don't exist. So there's all of these Korean players, all of these Chinese players. How do you have to VPN? How do you get on to Tranquility to play?
Yeah, that's a good question.
At the moment, I'm using a VPN, but if I don't, it really depends on which part of China, which broadband company you with, how good your internet is. Basically, you can take it without VPN, but most of my members they can't even connect to Mumble, even using a VPN. So
Gotcha.
I think that's a thing.
So you guys have to basically fight up hills both ways just to even be able to get to play the game in an environment where there's not constant botting and RMT.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it reminds me of I have a friend of mine that lives in Dubai, and he can't get on Mumble, Jabber, or TeamSpeak because the way that their internet rules work, and even with a VPN, it's still a pain. So. What's
the meta like? We're getting a couple questions here which are pretty good. Is like, what is the fleet meta? I know that you haven't been actively playing on Serenity in a while because Tranquility is like a more real version of the game in terms of rules and competition. But do you know what the subcapital meta is like over on Serenity?
You mean like what kind of ship?
What sort of fleet doctrines are popular?
I think at the moment because another thing. So at the moment, because RMT is allowed and booting is allowed, so the price of items just went up the hill. You can't imagine how much a Plex is worth on Serenity. It's like 26 bill.
Wow.
Yeah, I know Titans are like 400 bill, right, or something crazy, like just insane high amounts.
Yeah. So they, unless it's like Series 5, they're most flying like cheap Doctrine Tech 1 Cruiser or Caracals. Basically. But if it's Series 5, they probably bring Tengu's Armor Tech 3, like basically the same as Tranquility because they get.
Do you guys get in any trouble, or is there anything like any sort of like legal issues with you guys using VPNs to come play on Tranquility, or is it just like not a big deal?
I haven't heard anything. I don't think. I think it's illegal by law, but nobody cares about it. The government implements law. I don't think anybody cares about anything because nobody can join.
Gotcha.
That's amazing.
It's fascinating. We don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah. Welcome to the Meta Show. Our first guest that gets arrested.
Yeah, let's not do that.
But it's always amazing because another thing I just noticed. You said you were drinking. You told me before the show. Every international guest we've had so far has been drinking. as he came on
Because
the
they
international
have to
segment.
listen to you and me, Bode. I mean, I would if I wasn't you or me, I would defensively drink before they had to deal with our crap. I mean, I have much respect for that. So we're gonna let you go here in a moment, Aries Bar. But one of the things we do like to do is give international guests an opportunity to speak in their own language and basically tell people about their corporations and why their corps are awesome.
Yeah.
So if you would do us the honor of going into your own tongue and telling people about PLA who are maybe not in Chinese players that are not in PLA, why PLA is awesome and why they should join.
Yeah, sure. Let's start. PLA 是欧服基本上最有潜力的军团，因为它已经在一个很大的联盟平台上了，并且你们会有像我这样最优秀的指挥来带领你们，领略这个游戏的风味吧。Yeah, that's basically it.
I love this. So what did you actually say? Because that's what we always ask, because we don't know any idea what just got said.
I basically said PLA is like the best future group the best future corp you can join because they already have such excellent base as Goonswarm to develop, and also if you join PLA, you have like such a brilliant FCS such as myself to lead you to victory. Yeah.
Humble. No, was that in Mandarin or in Cantonese? Like, what's the?
No, it's Mandarin.
Gotcha. So
That's-
primarily Mandarin in the community, or?
Yes, I think Cantonese is more like Hong Kong people or like Cantonese.
Yeah.
But I think mainland people and overseas Chinese speak Mandarin.
Now,
That is awesome.
would you say, one last question before we let you go here, because I know it's really early for you. Someone did ask this earlier. A lot of your corp, is it mainland China, or is there a lot of, like, is it a mix of, like, people from Hong Kong, or, like, different parts of the world, or is it a lot of, like, mainland Chinese?
I haven't do study, but I think 80%, I'd say 80% mainland Chinese
Oh, wow.
and 20% overseas, sort of.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, there's
Interesting.
quite a lot of overseas players from China plays on TQ.
Cool.
That is badass.
That's
One of the
awesome.
things that has allowed us to project power across all hours of the evening in the Imperium, or in the morning as the case may be, is we have worked actively to develop Ghost Squad and our AUTZ contingent and our Moon Time, what we call Moon Time contingent. We have FCs from Singapore, we have FCs from Nanjing, as you can see, and lots of other interesting things. So I mean, this is one of the things, is that people in EVE, there is this big international community, and people don't really harness it for the engines of war, which is what we're all about here.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everybody here. Let's
yes.
give Aries Bar some fucking shout outs and love here in chat, because this is awesome, and the man's a hero. He's staying up late drinking beer, Skyping us through VPN. Like, we went through all sorts of adventures just to get this guy on here.
Yeah.
And it turns out he's a fucking
Well, I
Australian
remember-
accented Chinese. Like, that is just fucking bad.
I remember, I said to him before the show, I recognized his name, and I remember is because he was one of the FCs, like the main FCs, during their version of B-R. And I watched a live stream where they were talking about it, and he was one of the names that got brought up as one of the FCs. I do remember one more last thing, so we'll let him go here. But during that fight, one of the FCs went to get a sandwich or something, went to the store to get a sandwich, and came back and his Titan was dead because they saw him gone. So, yeah, thanks for coming. That was awesome. Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, bye.
Thanks, guys. See you guys soon.
Yep,
Bye.
see ya.
Excellent. Yeah, that was badass as hell.
Yes.
Like, just about every level.
Did Skype readjust, or are
let's
we
give some-
good? Hold on, let's check.
Let me go ahead and give some shout outs here. Let's see. So while we were talking to Aries Bar, we had Laszlo UK subscribed for
Yay!
5 months in a row. So
Laszlo always makes great pictures. Oh, so
and
good.
yeah, he dropped some of those links in chat, and I
Yep,
think
yep.
we made sure that they're Damian Dixon for 4 months. Hooray! I'm not sure whether like my scroll back does go farther beyond that, but yeah. Also, thanks guys for supporting the channel all the way around. This is wow. Okay, that was really
Yeah, that's
cool.
awesome.
I love the international segment.
He FCs. I
It was
remember
spiffy.
he FCs in PLA at Downtime too. And, like the last time. Oh, I gotta fix this. Hold on.
Yeah, you gotta fix Skype. And
yeah, that's
get rid of
okay.
the portrait over
So
there.
what happens
you
when
can see the
we travel around the world on the Meta Show? We have to like
we have to adjust our
adjust it. So let me
overlays.
mess with that now. Hold on.
All right. So while Boat is
Got it.
fixing
There we
the
go.
look and feel, Next thing we're going into is going to be the Nullsec Power Hour, and when Bode actually starts the thing, I'll be able to shut up. What do you want to go ahead and remove Aries Bar's?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and
portrait stuff.
Minimize that.
And we'll
real quick. Bam.
We'll get into the Nullsec Power Hour. We got lots of drama.
Yeah, a lot
I was
of
expecting to only
happened.
talk to Aries Bar for only like 5 minutes, but the shit is just so fascinating. Like you get stuck in, it's like holy crap.
All right, so here we go.
Booyah.
All right, so yeah, we move into the Nullsec Power Hour with the biggest news story on Reddit in almost 3 weeks. This has gotten the most upvotes. It's had the most attention drawn to it because whenever somebody goes full asshole, like it really, really gets people's attention. So here's a link in chat. But slap fight occurred. I don't know where this was. It looked like our Imperium News comment section.
No, it was on Crossing Zebras.
Crossing Zebras, okay.
Which is why it was an article. So I was talking about this a lot.
Yeah, I missed some of it. Yeah.
And so there is the Reddit consensus, and I did a live dramatic reading of this, but apparently the consensus of the Redditors, who are almost always wrong about everything, is that Grath is the bad guy here, and they're all herfing blurfs about this. Many of us in the Imperium have partied with Grath. We know Grath. We've met him in Vegas repeatedly. He's a legit motherfucker.
Yep.
And if you actually go through. This ultimately comes down to passive-aggressive, concern-trolling, weak, hypocritical, thin-skinned internet culture that is adopted by many of the people who are offended at Grath on Rick Stravix's behalf. And they're offended about Rick Stravix, whose bitch ass I banned from this channel yesterday live on my stream because he fucking deserved it. Rick Stravix is a coward. He's the kind of person who likes to pick fights with people on the internet and talk tough, and then when he's actually called to account for his shit, he then tries to act like, oh, how could you even believe that I meant that? I read this fucking drama live on air yesterday during my stream. And there is this very distinct moment where Rix takes the conflict between him and Grath off of the internet and says, basically, say this to my face and you will need to beg. And then Grath, so he literally said that Grath would have begging to do in the real world.
Are you kidding me?
Grath is like, I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you at all. Like, Rick Javix, who is this whiny, entitled blogger who is always running GoFundMes and basically talking about
he wants GoFundMes to pay for his
this is
card.
This is the thing. He has posted all this on his blogs, asking the EVE community to basically GoFundMe his divorce process or whatever.
No,
I don't really care about that.
It was worse than that. No, it gets even worse. Like the reason this Grath thing kicked off and Grath was so mad is that this guy literally did an EVE GoFundMe using the EVE community to pay for his own child support because he didn't feel he needed to pay it himself. That's the kind of person he is. Like
he is an entitled piece of shit.
Yes,
so, this entitled piece of shit. And here's the thing. This is the thing I said yesterday. I want to make it very clear. We all do things that we regret. I put a wizard hat on my head and told people to kill themselves on live TV when I was drunk off my ass. When I came to and recognized what had happened, I formally, publicly apologized. I gave all of my ass to the person that I had been talking shit about. And I fell on my sword in public about it because I believe in accountability. What is funny about, so everybody fucks up. Everybody does dumb shit to one degree or another. It's how you handle it, right? So Rix gets into this fight with Grath, and after all these blog posts about how everything is always somebody else's fault, and then he says that he and Grath should get face to face, and Grath is like, I'm a fucking ex-con. You really don't want to confront me at Vegas or FanFest because
biker, isn't he? Like a big biker gang guy, isn't he?
He is. This is another thing is that like people in EVE, like I don't think that they remember this. Like a lot of people know Grath, and I thought that this was just common knowledge. Like you don't fuck with the guy, right? In the real world, like you can talk shit about him in the game. Like we've been fighting each other in space for years, and it's no big deal. But to tell a dude like Grath, who's basically fucking Mr. Sons of Anarchy in the real world,
I know.
Like that he's gonna have to beg in person. Rick Javix is telling Grath Telkin that face-to-face outside of the game, Rick said, say this to my face, and you're going to have begging to do.
Right. Grath's got in trouble with some of our shows because he says some things that can get him in some serious, he just speaks his mind, right? And he said some things that's got him removed from being able to come on the shows on Imperium News because of the things he says. And then we've met him. I've hung out with him in Vegas. Like, the guy is legit biker.
Grath,
Like,
Grath
he don't
is
give a
legit-
fuck.
He's like he is an uncarved block. What you see is what you get.
Yes.
And so then like all these Redditors are basically like herfing blurs because then Rix, of course, being the hypocritical coward that he is, goes off about how like, oh well, I didn't really mean that, and Grath, you're a bad person for suggesting that like you're gonna fight me in the real world. When Grath was, and when Rix was the one who in the first place was like, say that to my face, and you've got begging to do.
It just makes me laugh because there's like when I was younger, my father used to say, "If you want to fight my son, just come over to the yard. I'll let you stand in the front. You all can punch each other. Don't say you're gonna punch him. Come over here. And, he's right here. Just punch." And I can just picture those two at Vegas and Grant just boom, knocking him out right there.
I
Oh.
totally see that. This
Oh.
is why it's.
That's why it's so funny. It's hilarious. I'm sorry.
Just putting here that Rick Shavix is basically the cash me outside bitch. That's funny. But yeah, I mean, it's dumb because there's all these like random little
Right.
Reddit shitlords who are siding with Rick's Javix.
Yeah, well-
Probably they don't want to be held accountable for the shit that they do. And Rick's basically did this backpedal. How could you think that I meant there should be a real
Right,
confrontation?
right.
Even though he said it explicitly. And then he comes onto our Twitch channel yesterday when we are pointing out what he did in his own words.
And the thing,
And he's trying to wag his fingers
Right.
at me as if I'm going to give this motherfucker a
and
fair hearing.
Grant
Just
was
fucking
even
top
chill.
him.
Like he went on the Open Com show last night. And he was like, "Yeah, I was kind of an asshole, but that's me. I'm an asshole. So deal with it."
Yeah.
So it's not. It wasn't like he was trying to backpedal either. I don't know. Reddit always fascinates me, and that's why that's the top of our NullSec power because it's just hilarious. Because it went.
It was like
well-
1,500 upvotes, and now there's like a few other like
Little-
follow-on threads.
Well, we killed him yesterday. He lost a high-grade snake set in a ship. He like when PL comes to our space with those Talos fleets, we caught him last night.
Yep.
Well, when we caught him, their wormhole was in the middle of collapsing, and Graph accidentally went through it. And then when he tried to get away, the wormhole collapsed in front of him, and he couldn't get out. So he died. And so someone piggybacked off the Graph hate to get a whole bunch of upvotes by making a really terrible post.
It's so dumb.
It was so good. It was funny. And speaking of dumb, we go right to our next story. GigX is a moron.
What did he do now?
Water is wet. So, somebody, I don't know who this guy is, decided to go through all of the EVE information that's publicly out there and discovered that the system at which GigX is building his Supers and Titans is the highest single NPC tax system in EVE outside of JITA and like one other system. It is the third highest NPC tax. He is spending upwards of 20% tax on every build he does for Supers. Compared to like 7% everywhere else.
Oh my god.
And so somebody went through and literally like diagnosed it to figure out, okay, he's definitely building Supers and Titans there. He's definitely building it in the worst system he can build it in. And he like lays out the formulas why if GigX was smart, he would move it 2 systems over and have been 10 times better. But apparently he has some like crazy archaic rules when it comes to dropping citadels, and it's the only Satoyo they have in the whole space. So everyone has to pay that 20% tax no matter what if they want to build a Super Titan in CO2.
Okay, so there is a follow-up post from Salimate actually analyzing this. That's the top comment there that says that there is a mitigating factor. Hemp Knight UK just subscribed. Thank you, dude.
Right, maybe, but
like
it's still dumb, right?
I think that we can say that GigX is dumb regardless of the build cost thing because he used to have lieutenants and staff who were following his alliance, and he has lost almost all of his upper tier directorate because he is a traitor and he is unreliable, and his alliance is full of unreliable traitors. Black Omega Security left a few weeks back from CO2 to join Mercenary Coalition. The rats are leaving that sinking ship. Here on Imperium News Network, of course, we report, we decide.
Yeah, we just say what the fuck we want.
That is what we have decided. So there you go. Let's what else we got going on?
Oh yeah,
It's been a hot week today.
more
in
drama. Yeah, drama happened. What's it called? SC. I forget.
Shadow Cartel.
Shadow Cartel. Yeah. I had a blank for a second. Shadow Cartel might cascade after this next bit of drama. Paquito and Yasmin were their only 2 big name FCs, and both have said, "Fuck low sec life. I'm going to join NC." and they both have joined NC as of a couple days ago. So their 2 top FCs just walked out, and Shadow Cartel was already getting to a point where, like, Escalating Entropy, they were just kind of there. And now with Shadow Cartel falling out, you really only have, like, 2 or 3 major alliances left in Lowsec that actually matter. You have Waffles, Snuffbox, and Project Mayhem. And Project Mayhem has kind of went by the wayside a bit and kind of merged with Snuff in a way on every op they do, so there's really only 2. So it's like Lowsec's just vanishing. There was actually
nobody does drama like these Lowsec entities. And what's interesting about this, I want to give a special shout out here.
Oh
to
yes, definitely.
Because Mighty Germ 1 is Kanar, old school.
Yeah,
SU8A4, straight out of Syndicate, OG, never forget.
That's a name I haven't seen in a while too.
Oh hell yeah! So. Yeah, Twitch Prime. Hell yeah. So here we go. The Shadow Cartel thing is kind of funny because like I would have never expected that at the end of the day, like that Snuff would end up being one of the more stable of the Lowsec entities, right?
Especially
like,
after the war, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Snuff was the start of it.
Yep. And another thing is that they lost Dogfort, which was Kanan's corporation crew. They used to be in Lawn. They went to join Shadow Cartel, and not too long ago they came back into the fold in the Imperium and are members of Goonswarm. We were very happy to have them back. One of the things that's nice about letting people go to see whether the grass is always greener is when they go check things out, they go, wait a second, fuck all this noise, we want back in. So that worked out pretty well. So Shadow Cartel is going through some trouble. Let me unfuck that.
I already did.
That link.
I can't. So, it's not opening. It's taking a minute, but it's.
When did you stop beating your wife from Evatorial about Evaganda?
Who?
Oh, this is from Rix. This is whining.
Rix. What?
This fucking guy just doesn't know when to stop.
He doesn't get when the. Oh, this is gonna be a glorious read. I can't wait. I'm gonna read this later.
I'm not gonna read this live on the Meta Show.
We'll read it later.
Oh, he's talking about me. That's good. I love it when he does this.
Oh, he's talking about his comments on Reddit, like the whole situation. This is great because he probably wrote this because you banned him from talking here.
He not only reads this blog, but it bothers him, and so apparently he's bragging about how I'm mad about him.
I am not ashamed. I never begged. I don't need to.
This is amazing. I do keep track of things in Eve because it's kind of like what I do,
it's like
right?
But this is like a soap opera. It's so great to watch the stories.
It's beautiful.
Only Eve.
This is always a red flag. Like this is just like a leadership thing. Is a couple maxims that we have in the Imperium, because to lead such a large organization, not just me but all of our directorate, a sub-director in any Imperium organization is running essentially a larger corporation than 99% of CEOs in the rest of EVE. So one of the things we like to say is strength hires strength, weakness hires weakness. That's one. And another thing is that when you see someone who is always blaming other people for something and you never see them admitting that they fucked something up. Whoa, we got a gold donation. What is that?
Long Live Purunga just said long live Norman Aiken. And I think it's a Stuffbox guy.
King of the North.
Yeah, I think it's the Stuffbox guy. They camp that gate. So that's awesome. Thanks, man. $25. That's cool.
But yeah, that's just sort of like a useful test of character, really. Is, you can't learn anything until you admit mistakes. You can't learn anything until you're willing to apologize when you fuck up. So when you encounter somebody who is always writing words and words and words and words, I mean, I can't even count the number of things
I don't even want to look at.
I've already...
Yeah.
You have to go, shit, we fucked up. You have to take, I think there's a business book that was written by some Navy SEALs recently called Extreme Ownership, is that you basically have to take maximum accountability for things that even other people would say aren't your fault.
Oh, yeah.
That gives you agency and the ability to say, well, I'm going to take radical accountability of this, even if it might be somebody else's fault. There was something I could have done. I could have done a better job of communicating. Yep. What can I do to make the situation better?
It's ask for help, right? It comes down to ask for help. Like with teaching, that's like the number one thing is like, not every teacher's going to get it perfect 100% of the time. So don't forget, you got a guy next door you can go ask, right? You can go ask for help. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's
So whenever you see a guy like this, I mean, it does make me angry when people have poor character that mislead people. But I'm angry all the time. I'm sort of, I'm not a warm and fuzzy person. I'm very judgmental. That's just who I am.
Wait, I thought you were a fuzzy button. So wait a second.
I can be a fuzzy button, especially when I'm in a love to club environment. But injustice bothers me, and that's why the whole Great War thing lasted as long as it did. From my personal involvement in it, obviously I was just a tiny piece of a vast war machine at the time. But when you see people who are willing to write tens of thousands of words to avoid any kind of personal accountability. That tells you something.
He called you a jealous rage monster.
A jealous rage monster. Oh my god, that's beautiful. A jealous. What would I be jealous?
Oh,
of?
I
haven't read it yet. I just saw this big pile of words. I'm wondering. I mean, I don't really want to have to read.
Yeah, I got yelled at once by someone, and I'm not going to go into who got upset with me about this. Don't forget, we have a heist system now.
I didn't actually watch the Jocko Wilnick TED Talk, but I have seen some videos from Jocko. I didn't know he did a TED Talk. I'll have to look that up. But it is interesting.
I've called him out before.
We have friends in San Diego, so it's you can't throw a rock in San Diego without hitting 3 seals and then having them bash your skull in. So
Rick's had been known in the past to take other people's artwork and then he'll adjust it just a little bit and it'll be like present it to Eve.
God. Doodles the Great. If he projected any harder, he'd be seen on the moon. regarding.
It sounds like repressed sexual desire. I don't know. I don't think into people's personal lives, but the guy's like an open book. If he wants to tell us about it, we'll make fun of it. I mean,
he's gonna put it all
I separate my real life from Eve. That's why I go by the Big Red Boat everywhere I fucking travel, right? So it's just I don't want to have to deal with that. And this guy's like, hey, let's tell everyone about the fact that I'm in jail for.
He wants to do GoFundMe's about this stuff.
But we
whatever.
We got some funny things that have been going on though. So not only we'll move away from drama. We'll talk about what PL's been up to lately. We did have PL on last week to talk about this, but again, the continuation of their Talos Doctrine is pretty crazy. So they use wormholes from their Alliance Hard Knocks. They use their Alliance Hard Knocks, and Hard Knocks has all of wormhole space pretty much turned into a renter zone. And one of the rules of being a renter is you have to submit all your wormhole data to us. So they have this giant database of wormhole space. So they pretty much mapped wormhole space. And PL uses it to fly around with Taloses. Well, last week, they dropped on Declan and caught a whole bunch of caps. Because Solaris is like, oh, you've tackled our carrier. Well, let's just drop carriers and you're going to do nothing about it. Well, PL showed up with like 100 Taloses and did something about it. It was wonderful.
That feed is pretty ridiculous.
That what?
That feed that Solaris was doing was pretty ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
people,
so they're known for, like, what they'll do is, when I was there, if you tackle something, they'll let you tackle it, and then they'll slide a Sino and drop in, like, 10 carriers, but they make sure the system's Sino jammed. They do all this stuff to prevent themselves from getting dread bombed, but they don't ever expect 100 Taloses to show up. And there's a cool video of it, of, like, Darkness tries to show up in Feroxes to defend it, and just the Feroxes get plastered, because 1,000 DPS Taloses just run right through them, like they're not even there. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. P also got a new thing I wanted to bring up. Tengus. Pure Tengu fleet. 10 of the Tengus are Logi. The rest are damaged.
Is a pure Tengu fleet new? I mean, that's like saying... I suppose you're using Tengu for logistics.
So remember how Stuff used the Legions for logistics? And it made it really hard to kill? That's what they're doing with Tengu. So they do missile Tengus, like in-your-face missile Tengus, that do tackling, Hictors, and then Rep Tengus. And it's really hard to kill. It's
actual success on a big heist too. That's actually kind of rare to see. You guys have been fighting.
Oh yeah, so yesterday 3 fucking times the SWAT showed up and wiped the whole party. Oh, so ridiculous. One guy lost 300.
The bank is actually really hard to raid, guys.
Yeah.
There's like there's a bunch of mini games. There's like there's 8-ball and shit like that.
Yep.
Also, this is a thing. There's a straw poll here that the Deepbot has actually just linked here. So one of the things that we've been doing to make INN great again is that we are looking to, like, we're surveying subscribers and people who donate a lot to the channel because we want to know what you guys want to see more of, which is why you're seeing a lot more Eve. We're actually filling up a lot of Moon Time, what we call Moon Time, Dead Air. We have a ton of new streamers coming online, and we really want to make, it is Imperium news now that we've finally gotten rid of all the Matani.com stuff, and we want to do things like the international streaming segment where we're highlighting things from our people. We want to have our guys streaming Eve because talking to our dudes. So when you see surveys and things like that about like what could we do better, could we get you better subscriber badges, better subscriber benefits, what can we do for basically integrating INN and making it such that it provides direct benefit and utility to the members of the Imperium as a whole. So there should be a checkbox on that poll. A lack of checkboxes. Oh, this is another thing. Speaking of, I mentioned this earlier, and this is for people on goonfleet.com, i.e. for Imperium members only, but I should find and link this thread. We're interested in spinning up a thing in Elder Scrolls Online. We have not spun up a new multi-platform operation in a bit, and this would be on. I know Zeneria is very excited about it.
Yes.
One of our good friends from Eve, who was in my opinion, the best executive producer. I don't want to say that because I don't think it's fair to Seagull. Seagull is actually doing a great job, but up until Seagull, the best executive producer, that would be John Lander. CCP Unifex is actually over at Bethesda at ESO. And Mr. V has been like, hey, let's do a thing in ESO for a long-ass time now. So we do all this stuff on Imperium Discord, and if you guys don't know where Imperium Discord is, you can check it out here. So if you're interested in streaming Eve to highlight what we're doing here in the Imperium, you can see what our schedule is, and you can also find ways to... Let me link the... I'm just going to do some shameless plugging.
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
The producers, so we've got Skeptic Nerd Guy is our lead producer.
Yep.
We've got Life Shifter and McLeod helping him out as producers, and they've been handling streamers. And since we're telling people on firesides and stuff, like, look, we want to show EVE Online, we want to talk to our people about what they want to see on this fucking channel, and we want to highlight what we're doing such that we can basically use the media empire to strengthen the Imperium as a whole. So now the poor producers have been like overwhelmed with like 12 different people in the last like 48 hours going, dude, I want to stream.
Yeah, we had a couple of French guys too come to him recently, so...
That's going to be awesome. Yeah. Like, I really, it fascinates me the way that different cultures across the world play EVE. Like, there's these little different, not even little, massive. I mean, we were talking about PLA. We had Ares Bar on earlier. That's a corporation with almost 1,000 characters.
Well, what's amazing about them too is
huge.
of how they handle things. So up until recently, I would say recently, like a month or so ago, they were just there, right? And nobody really, they looked at your PAP stats and they were like, oh, they weren't going on ops. And then someone goes, well, have we ever tried to get like with their translator and let them know, hey, there's an op coming on so they can broadcast in Chinese? And they're like, oh yeah, we should do that. And like the next morning, we had like 100 of them show up for an op because nobody bothered to say, hey, there's an op in Chinese. So they didn't know. And so so that's one of the things that we with all these different
localization.
Yeah,
we're also
localization.
Looking at, our dev team is looking to add a localization plugin for Imperium News, which won't be translating all the articles, but like all the stuff on the nav bar and the sort of like the fixed texts, we're going to get localized to all of the major nations in the Imperium community.
That's
so I'm
amazing.
pretty pumped about that, and the dev team is kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah. So one last Eve thing here. We're almost out of time. This is actually pretty big news in the sense that there are very few groups at EVE that are dedicated to newbies. EVE University, besides Karma Fleet, but I mean, like,
I guess there is also EVE University.
But like, you have like Karma Fleet, like you'll still have Titan pilots at Karma Fleet, whereas EVE University is strictly like people go to EVE University, they graduate, and then they move on to Karma Fleet or they move on somewhere else. But they're strictly newbies, and one of the things they started doing or trying to do was wormholes. Teach newbies about wormholes and get them to experience something that maybe a newbie in high sec will never experience. So what does Hard Knocks do? They evict them. They straight up evicted them. Said, nope, you don't get to play. We're kicking you out of wormhole space. And they went in and evicted them. And it was hilarious as fuck. Because, EVE University is hilarious. It's like, they try to teach so many new people, and then they get crushed. So people are just like, yeah, we're going to go Karma Fleet.
Well, that's one of the things is that, like, I have a lot of respect for University, so I don't want to say, like,
well, they dedicated, man.
I have nothing bad to say about University. I will say that having an organization like Goonwafa or Karma Fleet that is dedicated to newbies and respects newbies, but also has a massive super capital fleet with which to defend your newbies is sort of like the best of both worlds. You get the mentoring, the training, the socialist state space socialism programs, you get all of your free stuff. You have escape from freedom. You don't have to worry about making choices about things. You just get given whatever you want.
You get to make the choice freely on your own. It's just the choice only has one name, and it's a checkbox.
Yes. So
it's like North Korea. They get to vote for the president every 4 years, but there's only one presidential candidate, and he wins every time.
Funny how that works.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, no, I think it is. This is an illustration of the fact that to really have an opportunity to let newbies experience all aspects of Eve, you need to have a massive military force that can guard and protect them.
Yeah.
Far more so than with a elite PvP organization, which is smaller and can't really sustain the kind of infrastructure that mass newbie training. That's sort of what we've been doing ever since we started playing Eve back in 2005. So
yeah, Northern Coalition has an interesting thing too, because they have a rule now where you can't join Northern Coalition unless you can fly fax or have an ult with effects. So they can't even you can't even get
elite PvP guys have always been that way. So here's a question then.
Sure.
What is coming up next on the boat show?
So the boat show. So last night I was hanging around Theta, and they were playing a co-op game called Factorio, where you basically get dropped on a planet, and like RimWorld style play, you have to build a world to escape. You have to get to like research rocket technology, and like it's a big, huge step process of building like a giant factory planet that leads to you being able to build a rocket to get off it. And so I started it last night, and I want to play it today during the boat show and show everyone this game. And it is fucking hilarious, because I am sitting there like a little nitpicker trying to basically set up a long chain of events that leads to one little item.
It's a factory. It's like a supply chain.
Yes, right? And it's hilarious.
It's like a Lego factory.
And like, based on how much pollution you cause by your factories and your mining, like the world changes, and the monsters either become harder or easier. They mutate. They attack you.
So do you have like guns to destroy?
Yeah. Like right now, I just finished last night before I went to bed. As I literally built walls and giant like gun turrets, but the gun turrets aren't strong enough, so like the bugs could like kill them, and it's just
I've seen Factorio before.
So someone just said it's like PI and Eve. Yeah, it is.
But actually fun, because PI and Eve.
Well, someone said it's hilarious. Someone said Eve should look at Factorio to make PI this way, because it's it's hilarious.
Apple Pear.
Hey, thanks, Apple Pear.
6 months in a row. Hell yeah, dude.
He's leaked.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna go to the boat show.
Yes.
And again, thank you all for coming, and thanks for listening to the spiel about what we're going to do here.
Real quick. A lot of people have been bugging me all day. Yes, I did shave my beard, and my haircut is shit because they fucked it up. But I had a job interview, and I got the job, so that's why.
Well, people are saying that they like the haircut.
Oh yeah,
chat.
Real life people like the haircut. I hate the haircut. I hate military haircuts. I hate them. But she messed up, and she made the haircut good. It's just the style I don't like. But I had to get clean shaven. Drove the girlfriend nuts, but. Got me the job, so whatever.
Hey man, congratulations on that.
So
I don't know whether you told people on stream.
Yeah, so I actually announced it today.
Tell good news.
All my stream times are changing. I'm switching with Gobble during the week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, no longer will I stream 2 to 6 or 2 to 5 in some cases. I'll be streaming after you on Friday, I think, and on Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. And then Monday, I'll be streaming from 6 to 9. So that's because I finally got a teaching job. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, Boat has been looking for this and training for it for a long ass time.
Yeah.
And
So awesome. So a lot of changes with that. So you guys are going to see me in US Prime a lot more rather than in Euro time because I'll be busy. So this is a stepping stone. I got one more. I want to try to move. I'm trying to move to Australia to teach in Australia, and that's like a long process. It takes a lot of paperwork and time. So this is just like something to do until I get that one. So.
Awesome.
Yes, so, okay, see you guys in a few moments.
Congratulations, guys, and congratulations, Boat, and thanks for watching, guys, and we will be right back here with The Boat Show.
Yep.
The Boat Show.
All right, bye, everyone.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.